First off, ladies and gentlemen, notifications, make sure that you have on your notification bells. I am going to do a straight out of the theater reaction to the Batman tomorrow. And let me tell you, man, I'm hearing a lot of people like Nolan, who? Talking about Reeves Batman being the best that they've ever seen. So, man, I'm so ready for this, man. So make sure that you guys are around so you can check out the spoiler-free review tomorrow. All right. Superman and Lois. I'm blown away, man. Like, I'm speechless how good this show is. Every episode I've seen in season 2 so far has been fantastic, and this did not disappoint. I have to tell you, that opening sequence was crazy good. How they gave us that build of Bizarro World. And I didn't even realize that that's where he was initially until I caught on to the color grading, how everything is red, everything is kind of bleak. I thought it was really cool in that opening sequence to let us know how he got to where Clark is in the real world. So that was absolutely awesome. I loved the fight scene in it. I loved all of the different builds and aspects of what we saw in Bizarro World because it corresponded so well with what we saw in the real world. And now we understand, right, that everything that happens in the Bizarro World, the same will happen in the real world because they are actually mirror images or reflections of the other. I know that all of you comic book aficionados knew that. I know that. I'm not insulting you. I know that you guys are Superman aficionados, but I just think it's really cool how they did that and how they gave it to us visually to make sense. Now, what I really love about what they did was the fight scene in the real world. So if we jump to almost the end of the episode and we watch Clark in that fight scene that mimics the scene that we saw in the beginning with Bizarro in the tunnel, I thought it was really cool how that was done. Because they weaken Clark just like they weaken Bizarro, and then they have that fight sequence where you see everybody getting in good licks. But what was really cool about that, if you paid attention to this, and I think I'm right in all aspects of the fight scene with Clark in the real world, even the punches and kicks in his scene were reverse. And I thought, man, what kind of crazy attention to detail was that? That was amazing. That was amazing. So I really loved how they did that and how they gave us the reverse aspects of that. I thought that that was super cool. I'm really fascinated to see what they do with Allie's character. And after hearing Bizarro say that, well, listen, if she merges with the character in Bizarro World, she's going to be unstoppable. So I really want to see how they build her character out. And I really want to see if they make her the big bad for the rest of this season, or will it be Bizarro? It looks at this point that Bizarro and Supes at some point are going to be working together and the two do team up against Allie. But I want to see what they do with Allie because I kind of feel like Allie's storyline can only last for a couple of episodes and then they bring in something new. I'm still not really sure how many episodes we have this season. Someone told me how many we had in season 1, so I suspect we'll have the same number this season, which I believe was quite a bit. So I don't know what's going to happen there. We'll see if they keep her the main bad. But I do think she is an interesting villain, and I love the way that they are writing her. Now, I don't know if she's reflected in the comic books. As I said, I'm no Superman aficionado. I've always said before that I feel like my knowledge of him is respectable, but I'm no expert, so I lean on you for that. But she is an interesting villain, and I like what they're doing building her out and the level of mystery that's around her. I also think it's interesting that the General also has that other neck piece, the other part of the neck piece that Bizarro doesn't have. And when I think about it, I assume that there are opposite reflections of all of them in Bizarro World. So I'm wondering what will happen, what we will see with the different characters from Bizarro World and this world, and how that interaction will work out with them between the two worlds. Because I believe in Bizarro World, in that first opening scene, I think that was Lana, wasn't that was fighting Bizarro? And we don't know what happened to her in that world. It looks like he hit her. I don't know if he killed her. I don't know what happened there. But I'm really curious to see how they work all that out. Now, let's talk about the boys. I'm still, man, I don't, So here's the thing, you guys. Some of you all are really excited about Jonathan getting powers now. And some people put in the comments of the last video, and I've been reading online that he could be the next Superboy, and it looks like in the show the two boys are talking about teaming up. I don't know how all that's going to play out. Again, I don't know what the storylines are like in the comics, so I don't know. But I can just say from a fan just watching the show, I'm still not very excited about that because I don't really know where they're going with it. And Jonathan getting powers through taking some kind of Kryptonian or some kind of mineral drug that comes from Krypton or what have you, whatever it is, it's not that exciting to me. So if they're going to build off of that and they're going to make this a major factor with what happens to him and getting powers and moving forward, I hope that it gets a lot more interesting than what they've given us now. Because him just taking a drug and then getting superpowers to me is not a very fascinating thing. Now, some people are really excited about that because they feel like they're going to build that out and and Clark is going to find out what's going on, and then the impact of the drug might have unknown effects and all that kind of stuff. These are all theories that I've read in forums. I have no idea, but I hope something happens because that's not that interesting to me. Now, Lana'S Story with her husband. A lot of you guys have said that you don't really like it. You feel like it's filler. You feel like it's not necessarily specific enough to the main storyline. So why is it there? We don't need it. Now, I said before that I liked it. I liked the fact that they were giving us that story because one of the things that I think is special about this show is how it rounds everything out in terms of making it all feel important to the overall tone of the show. So when we see the story between Lana and her husband, it may not be specific to the main story, but it does set a tone and a feeling and a vibe that I feel like pulls us into the show and makes everybody in all the characteristics of even Smallville interesting in that show. But having seen what we saw in the episode today, I'm not sure where they're going with this. I don't know what's happening here. And the fact that I think he's leaving out, I'm not sure how all that's going to play out. It'll be interesting to see because I do have a theory that they might transition both of them out of this show, and we might get more focus on what's going on with Clark and all the events that are surrounding him and Superman and what's going on with the boys in their development. So we'll see what happens there. But I'm not real happy about the way that this is going with the two of them breaking up. I think it would have been much more interesting had they stayed together and they would have just worked through all of this, but we'll see what's happening. I love this show, man. It's absolutely fantastic. It is the best superhero CW show that I have seen, hands down. It's fantastic. I'll see you guys on the next video. Peace.